Alrighty, just about there. Timer ran quickly this morning. Good morning. I am ya. Fastest 10 minutes ever, I feel like. I don't feel like that was 10 minutes. They flew by at least, that's for sure. I thought I had more time. Good morning. Or maybe it's not quite as much morning today compared to usual. It's like we have like a saying for it in Danish, but I'm not sure there's one for other countries. Like that time span between morning and lunch. That is, you wouldn't call it brunch when you're not when it's not because you're going out to eat per se. So I was here for some reason. Let's see if we can get on a flight path. Back to trying those harpies. Payback. Payback it is. Justice will be served. Or my ass will be handed to me. One or the other. Who knows? Happy Friday. Me, Biv, and Timo are just queuing for AB. Ah, okay. Fair enough. Cool. Good luck with that. I might also. It could be I could haven't been in Navy. Okay, not at all. Yeah, cool. I'm still contemplating. I'm still undecided on what I'm doing. You know what? I think I might actually skip this quest. I think I'm still sufficiently far ahead XP wise that I don't really need it. So it could be that it's easier. Yeah, because effectively. Good luck with the AB. Definitely. Hope that plays out well. So I just put in the order this morning for the wildflower seeds for the fields. So that part is in check. So wildflower seeds to cover 30,000 square meters of soil. So we can get to tilling the fields and sowing the seeds here before the end of the month. So that's kind of interesting. And I just managed this morning to stop by the mechanics and swap out my tires for the take off the winter tires and put on the summer ones, so we're ready for the next season as well. All these things, man, all these things that need doing. Figuring now, even just now, up until now, the fact of having had to store the spare tires at home, the ones that aren't being used, has been a challenge in the sense of having space. Now going forward, you know, I told him that this time around I was pulling the service back and would just store them at home. I can do it inside the warm, heated workshop. Crank them up on a jack and swap them over myself. I used to do that, but then I got tired of crawling around on all four outside in my driveway, you know, on a cold winter day, because I was always a bit late in the terms of the season for getting on, especially the winter tires. So for the past couple of years, I've paid somebody to do it for me. Completely comfy, that's for sure. There will be some aspect of it that I miss, but at the same time, being able to just, you know, back the car inside, be warm and dry, and then you know, do that won't take long. So yeah, hope everybody's doing well. The fact that it's Friday always helps a little bit. Weather's looking up here. They say it's gonna be warm today, but it's gonna actually not be cold per se, but colder for the next for the remainder of the weekend. So, but sunny still. That'll be sufficient. Steel snap it is. So, anybody have any interesting plans for the weekend? Oh yeah, should remember to enjoy my coffee while it's here and still hot. Let's see where we're going. We're going here, steel snap for starters. And then there's the Wyverns. Da-da-da. Yep. So I was at the paint store yesterday picking up our order. All the paints and like the different spackle and everything that we needed as part of the renovation. And they had been, we called them a couple of days ago, sort of just confirming that everything was in place, and that they were kind enough to say like we will be sure to have the everything, you know, picked out in advance, so you can simply back up and then throw everything into the trunk. However, do be mindful that you should probably bring a trailer, because there's quite a lot. Fair enough. I was expecting to need it anyway, but you know, I brought it, and I would say if I hadn't brought it, I actually wouldn't have been able to squeeze everything in. I think all in all, I brought home close to 500 liters of different materials. So was definitely a lot of like spackle, 300 kilos worth of spackle, which, you know, is something you can apply with a roll-on. Thin layer everywhere, where you need it, because some of the walls will need to be spackled top to toe. But then another 200 liters just of various paints, you know, because it's all surfaces basically, except the floors, of course. But you know, floors, no, not floors, all walls and all ceilings. So yeah, that was insane. Even just, I mean, it was first off, it was like a low practical consideration of, okay, how much can I put in the trailer, because it's not a very big one. So what's the load capacity that I can fill it up with? And from there, it was putting the rest in the trunk. You know, you could see the back sagging just a little bit. Like, okay, well, I figured, you know, I would drive slowly to avoid having to do like any emergency braking. You know, wouldn't want the 200 liters of paint flying through the inside of the car. That car would be ruined, that's for sure. So made it home safely, but yeah, quite a load. They really love me here, all of them. Really do. Ouch. Ouch. Okay, I did not expect him. I thought he would actually abandon. Not paying enough attention. The walk of shame. Yet again. We've gotten good at that here. Definitely. 1,000 needles. I have to conclude that my attention span while trying to engage a little bit with you guys and play is insufficient. Can confirm I still cannot multitask. I couldn't do it yesterday. I still can't do it today. Maybe tomorrow. The struggle is real. Anywho, let's not let that discourage us. I know Friday's looking up. What's not to like? So is it? Can we see that the is it obvious that Rathy is out now? Can you see a big swap in terms of everybody having moved to doing a Rathy instead of Alterac Valley? Or I mean, I imagine that the let's say the actual honor grind in itself might be still more effective to do an Alterac because it's better honor, but maybe there's people actually looking to do the faction grind. Okay, so Steel Snap is there. So let's see if we can skirt around, get a bit ahead of him maybe. We're deep in hostile territory, and we've basically been getting our asses kicked continuously. The struggle is real. Having been through here last time around with the hunter versus now, I do feel much more squishy, for sure. Much less, you know, tanky. And I'm not sure I've completely cracked the code for how to best survive the various challenges that I meet. Let's see if we can do this. I want to time it. We don't want to pull that guy on top, that's for sure. God fucking. What happened to the... Ouch. I've been sticking with AB at the moment. Don't have a real PvP spec per se, and AB would only be better on per hour if you have consistently winning pre-made group and only on the AB weekend. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I can imagine that pound for pound, it's probably, it's still, AB is still more effective. I also, I read that they talked about that with more and more people, of course, having epic mounts, the overall speed with which an AB is decided has also gone down slightly, just because people reach the target faster. So fair enough. AB has been blasting through at 7 minutes again. Okay, that's impressive. Yeah, I could say last time. Well, looking back, what, 3-4 weeks when I was still doing it, an optimal game was about 10 minutes. So if you've shaved off around 30%, that's impressive feat, at least at this point in time. So cool. I guess you can say that the positive is that regardless of whether you're doing AB or AV, the fact that the new release of higher ranks has just come out means that there's going to be a lot of activity for the next while, because there's going to be more people who are then now looking to pursue even further. So there's not going to be a lack of battlegrounds popping off. Oh yeah, we do the wyverns. Cool. Yeah. Oh, awesome. I mean, was pretty quick queues at midnight last night. Oh yeah, okay. I can imagine. That's a thing for people who don't need to maintain an normal schedule, I feel. See if I can get up here somewhere. All the midnight owls up and about. Has anybody noticed if the recent changes they talked about with regards to the Black Lotus have actually taken effect? They were talking about changing impacting the spawn timers. More accessible. Blizzard to make Black Lotus more accessible. We're working on a solution that should make Black Lotus more accessible soon on that Anniversary Realms. Okay, it's not out yet. The joy of working in hospitality, yeah. I mean, you're hope to find out when the Warlock is higher. Is currently 223 here. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, you're. I don't know what time you close down, but I imagine that especially as the evening progresses on an average workday, it might not be that the amount of customers really needing more to drink is insanely high. On the other hand, being British, I think you're one of the only cultures that beats Denmark in terms of consistency on an let's consume as much as possible mentality. poison on top. I mean, these guys are going nuts on me. We are real ale bar, so fairly sensible most of the time. Okay, that's nice. I think the whole it's always a delicate balance using the word sensible and something that involves alcohol in the same sentence, isn't it? I mean, it's bordering on one of those things where maybe it is just something we pretend. There was a campaign at one point in Denmark, if I recall correctly, that had sort of a slogan about drinking that talked about drinking sensibly. Like the person who made it obviously hasn't known anything about Danish culture ever, because then you would know that those two don't go well together. I mean, I think aside from the UK, are we maybe the second most consumptuous population in the world after UK? Most amount of liters per person per year ish. So who are we kidding? 115. 111. So close. Shit, no cigar. These guys like their poison. Pick your poison. This is not the kind of what I wanted, but I guess the positive is it's dispellable. So we can make... I wonder if wyvern omelet is a thing, you know. Probably tastes like chicken. Just like everything else. The UK has plenty of drink responsibly campaigns, yeah. I guess, you know, it becomes a thing to, you know, figure out if they ever actually work. I mean, because sometimes some of these campaign things have a tendency to be, you know, you go big. You go expensive, hoping to reach a wide crowd, but it's gotta cost a lot of money, especially when it's like something that's done by the government on some level. So you gotta wonder if you could sometimes have spent the money better in another manner. But yeah. Okay, Jesus. These guys are insistent. I'm not sure if it's the what the devil? I feel like this is tough cookie. Nope, I didn't even manage. Wow. Okay, 3 on 1. Feel like the odds are against me. We're off to a rough start. I can't even call it morning anymore, but not sure. Maybe it's the ale. Lack of coffee, I don't know. Lack of coffee. Lack of skill. Lack of focus. So many options. If nothing else, this is an absolute confirmation once more, in case there was ever any doubt, which I don't really think there was, that there's a reason why I didn't pick the hardcore realms. Could have been that one guy who basically made a new character and then ecstatic runs out, trips across his own feet, falls on a, you know, an NPC with a knife out and dies. You know, it's not even a functionality within the game, and yet it happened, right? Congratulations, you lived for 10 seconds and you died in a way we did not even foresee a possibility. Yet you managed somehow. Please try again. What was that one? There was that one movie a long time ago with Tom Cruise where he was like a soldier who keeps dying and respawning. You're just too used to how OP hunters are. So yeah, there's definitely a thing in that regard from, you know, just being used to sending in your pet and then just standing at range. You know, you're out of danger, and you can you already have quite a bit of distance. So if you end up running away, you're already halfway there. All of a sudden here you're all up in everything. Things face could very well be the case that there's part of it in that sense as well. See if I can hide in the nest now. So the tree is not. The tree is not there. The tree is an... Okay. Okay. That's basically a first. We hacked it. We hacked the game. We found the matrix. So the tree is not solid, but the nest is once you get to the right location. That's kind of interesting. The advantage of leveling a warrior first until you get 40, you can easily die to any pull more than one. Okay, yeah. There's, oh yeah, I was in combat. TCGP, yeah, exactly. I mean, I do prefer to always try to have a very cautious approach to pulling and positioning. But yeah, you know, sometimes it doesn't always go your way anyway, regardless of what you try. Dear God. If I get this off, oh my God. Okay, I was playing it too cautious as well. I figured I could maybe get it off first. I should not have. Where there's a will, there's a way, and if there's no will, then there's always just, put your head in the track and just keep grinding anyway. Stupidity can get you far. Oh well. Maybe we'll have to investigate whether there will be some sort of interaction between coffee consumption and performance, in which there's a peak performance. It'll be tragic if it turns out we're already there, but let's see. If nothing else, we've had a lot of interesting streams. We've had the nature stream, and we've had the coffee ASMR stream. So ultimately, otherwise we can have like a corpse running stream. Take in the sights without engaging with anything. It's one of these times where there's such a how's your gear enhancement performance can be pretty good, but yeah, it's. I was actually almost about to address it. I think I'm getting to the point where I can feel that the effectiveness of some of the gear that I have now is also starting to drop off. See if I can find that spot again. I think I'm gonna hearth out and then repair, and then I'll come back and try again. It's not gonna improve with bad gear, with gear that's broken. That's for sure. Yeah, but my gear it's starting to lack in some areas. I'm 28. So you can say it's also a case of the mobs are level 30, and with gear being slightly behind, you're not increasing your chances. But at the same time, you know, we do need to push ourselves a little, right? It's better to have tried and failed than not to have tried at all. You know, most gear is, you know, we're averaging gear that's from level 15 to 20, so it is falling behind. We could have used a one-hander and a shield, but right now I haven't come across anything that has been better than the staff still. Well, that AB game made me rage quit. Okay, that sucks compared to what was it? You know, not trying to knock on you, but was that the first game? Game 1. I mean, I'm fairly sure that I wouldn't necessarily feel any different. Yeah, it was. Oh, sorry to hear that, man. That sucks. Probably off on the wrong foot. This, yeah, could be. But you know, it's still. Sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes it's better to admit defeat, you know, temporarily, than it is to keep trying. You know, some days it's just not there. You just don't fire on all cylinders. And I think it's better to be able to face that, you know, to simply admit that, than to keep struggling. It's not always something you can do, you know, basically. Being an adult, I figure that sometimes we can have that sensation every day, you know, going to work. Like, I wish I didn't have to today. You can't necessarily play that same rationale every day where you should be working, but some other aspects sometimes you can, at least. Okay, we are back. We're back. We're no better off, but we're back. Live to fight another day. Need a level, then go RFK and try get corpse marker. Two-handed axe will make a big difference. Yeah. Yeah, I was I was planning to do some more dungeons soon as well. There's the gap from, you know, I did well in Cameron's, I did Shadowfang Keep, but nobody's been looking to do BFD basically. Stockade doesn't really make sense having to go all the way into Stormwind. Nomer is just, you know, that's a struggle. It can be so group dependent whether it goes smoothly or not. So I've been waiting to hit like 29-ish to do RFK, and then I was aiming to do a significant amount of Scarlet Monasteries as well. I've got a set of gear that should enable me to heal acceptably. Skip BFD on my Warlock and Tech as well. Yeah, I haven't done it this time around either. So, but I figured that I would look to, you know, do a lot of dungeons for the next up towards level 40, just for the hell of it. Also because on the Hunter I basically skipped all dungeons and just soloed because it was more accessible. You know, I didn't always feel like I had much time. You know, so you could log on, have half an hour, still get some progress. Whereas if you were looking to do a dungeon, you couldn't always manage to find a group in time before you had to jump off. This time around, I don't feel the same pressure to get to 60 per se. So I can sit around looking for a group and you know, level up some professions while waiting. So I'm less dependent on feeling that it has to be a thing, and then enjoy some more dungeons along the way. Yeah, sure, sometimes best to admit defeat and move on, but to leave abruptly, not a nice thing to do when you're in group with a couple of other goodlies. Said my sorries on Discord. Yeah, shit happens, man. Shit happens. It really does. There you go. It really does. You know, that's... I would assume that even for the others, that they're still, you know, they're looking to do their thing, so it matters less. You know, it's always more enjoyable doing it with some guildies, but if you're not necessarily on voice or something, you are effectively only just in the same BG, right? You might not even be in the same location. So is it going to be something that's very impactful? Maybe not, you know. Not trying to downplay how important you are as a person, but it might be that it doesn't matter a lot to them in that situation. Sometimes can just go sit at the farm for 5 minutes to cool off. It's getting infuriating. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, where was that? Over here, ramp. Yeah. Okay. We're back. I would say back with a vengeance, but I'm not quite sure who's gonna have the upper hand here, so let's not make it out to be more than it is. But I'm very good. I should actually probably be burning some of these, just because at some point on very soon they'll probably be redundant anyway, because I should be able to make some new ones. So we're loading up. Bring out the big guns. Well, it got to the point that you're dying every minute or less and rezzing back at the start, farm being contested. I'm taking. Think somewhere pushing GM. Yeah. That's honestly, that is one of the main reasons that has most often discouraged me from doing PvP ever in general, is that I have again, I'll be the first to admit my skill level within the game has never been top tier anyway. But I sometimes spending more time being dead than alive is just it really just sucks any joy of the game right out of you. This is one thing PvE because it matters less. It just goes to show that I'm less skillful than a series of zeros and ones, but still. Whereas in PvE or PvP, that you're facing other human players that are just better than you. But spending all your time dead is just like disheartening. You're like, okay, my life is not the amount of life left in me is not enough to make up for the time spent just being corpse running. I'm not a PvEer. PvPer supposedly playing a good PvE. Yeah. I think I have to again conclude that the skill of the class can only do so much when the skill of the player is the shortcoming. So but I mean, I never set out to be the best player in the world anyway. So you can say again, I did play to be entertained, mostly my own entertainment, and so as long as I'm entertained, the purpose and the why is less relevant. Never been amazing at PvP. Can get by at a passable level, I think, but always preferred PvE. Yeah. I think there's a lot to it, many different layers of complexity. When I feel playing again, guess I'll just go chill with Drake. Yeah, I think that the thing about PvE, in my opinion, is regardless of where you start out, if you keep at it, if you keep coming back and trying again, even just in a raid scenario, you will improve because it's a scripted fight and you can learn it. Practice makes perfect, and anybody can learn the concept of what the mechanics do and can hone their skill enough. So if you have enough time in PvE, you can always end up being successful. Whereas in PvP, you're still facing that human opposition on the other side who doesn't always do something you expect, unless you're really skilled and know how all other classes work. You can also get super good at knowing how to counter the various classes. It's such a huge level of skill in another manner you need to acquire to be able to effectively, let's say, know and counter them. Yeah, practice needed for mostly everything. Yeah, keep it or lose it. Yeah, but I think for me it's always been the skill curve for PvE versus PvP has been so significantly different that it's never caught on. The concept of learning how to counter all the other classes and everything. I think if I would have an easier time just rolling my face across the keyboard repeatedly, and then if I happen to get good at PvP through that means, then then I know what to do. It's gonna give me a headache, but I will maybe manage. We spent 3 months wiping twice a week for 3 hours on Razagor when BWL first launched. Yeah, I mean, we former still one of my many private server experiences, but I was on a private server doing a TBC with the same guild for 3 years, and we raided twice a week for about 3 hours as well. We were progressing Sommel Plateau, so this was upper end game, the final raid of TBC tier 6, and we were on Muru, the second to last boss. We spent roughly 9 months progressing him before we got the first kill. 9 months where we each week made it to that boss, usually on the first raid day, and then we spent somewhere between, let's say 5 and 6 hours a week just progressing 25 people for 9 months before we got it. That was also just, practice, and that was to a wide extent the same core of people. I think, let's say we maybe had a raid roster of 50 people. No, not 50, 30 people. So majority of the people were there every week, and still it took such a long time, right? And then I think the weirdest thing in general is that once you've got that first kill, for some reason you can come back the next week and succeed with maybe 5-10 fresh tries. Did love SVP, lots of repair costs from the, yeah, for sure, definitely. That was expensive, but yeah, it was insane. But again, perseverance gets you far, but still, it's the videos of our, I think the videos from our kills on the first the videos of our first kills on every boss are actually still on YouTube somewhere. It's I can still get goosebumps from checking them out. It's insane to, like, the whole just the screaming, even just the screaming on TeamSpeak or Ventral or whatever it was we were using back then. When the kill came in, it was just completely insane. Would you stand still somewhere? So, but how's the AB coming along? I mean, all of a sudden you're in a situation where people do need to put in the effort. It's kind of hard to hide when there's only 15 people on each team, and you really have to grab the all the camps. Going back to watching Paragon 25 Heroic Lich King, always like, yeah, for sure. That will be us someday as well. I hope so. I hope we get to Wrath. I really hope we get to Wrath content. I would love that. You can say it's really, I'm not even sure if it's funny is the right terminology. I've never before felt any interest at all in continuing my expansion journey past Wrath. Even all the way back since retail, I've never been past Wrath. But I've actually already identified the fact that if it should be the case that that this server actually continues past Wrath, let's see, that's a long time off, but with any inkling of the same grouping of people still being around at that point in time, 3-4 years ahead of us from now, I could actually see that I might want to stick around for it because it's such enjoyable with you guys. So that could be incentive enough for me. But let's see, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So many expansions between now and then, so let's see if we can do this. Just the two of us, you and me. Depends on who you're playing with, really. Yeah, I only dropped off at Kata because the guild I was in kind of dissolved. Probably would have stuck around. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, still, 50% at least of the reason for logging in has to do with the people you surround yourself with. It's, you can even find yourself in a situation where you log in, you're not really feeling like yourself, but then the let's say the atmospherical pickup mentally, just can do so much for you, right? They even like bordering on a release of dopamine just from being around good people can contribute so much to your mental state. So yeah, I mean, I foresee only good things ahead of us for so many years to come. With the path we're on right now. Worst case, you can get half the distance with alcohol as well. But seeing as I mostly have enjoy alcohol-free beverages at this point in time, that's going to be quite a struggle. If I hadn't joined the guild, I more than likely wouldn't still be playing this server. Oh man, that's the spirit. I love it. But yeah, it's I think on the one hand it's funny to think that I've been coming back to this game for 21 years and I can still find enjoyment moving the same zeros and ones across the screen as I have been for 21 years, right? Still going over the same content, still having only played the same 3 expansions, and still finding it engaging, right? That sometimes it can baffle me. Yeah, but yeah, it's the guild. Guild I was in can dissolved as well, but it was mid ICC. Ended up changing guilds, faction change, finished ICC, and another finished guild. Oh, cool. Yeah, it has such a big impact. It really does. Because I've ended up I've led the majority of the guilds I've been in for the past 20, no, maybe only 15 years or so. Because I always end up feeling that if I want things done a specific way, I have to, do it myself. Works well. But the thing is that there's been a lot of situations as well in the past where there's been at some point on, you often find yourself facing guild drama. And guild drama is so negatively impactful, that you can really find yourself very quickly in a situation where it completely discourages you from wanting to log in as well, right? So just as well as it can be a super positive thing, so it can also go the complete opposite. So it really has so much to say in terms of how you feel, your want and desire to come online and to do things and everything in between. So see if I can get away with that. I'm really trying to clear out some of these guys before the spawns come out, because otherwise it's going to be tough. Hey, don't go anywhere. Do something. We don't want to pull that guy. Damn it. For the love of God. What is this crap? I forgot to ouch. Oh. See if I can manage to drink up a little. Yeah. Yeah, it supposedly the guide says it's the one on the east, but I was trying to reposition so I could get there, but I didn't manage in time. That was actually the only reason. Yo, Genghis, my man, what is up? So it was purely wrong account again. You and all your burner accounts, man. I was trying to see if I could move around towards the exit and settle for only aggroing the one, but yeah, I didn't get there in time. It also, you know, trying to ration that little bit of mana I had. What are you doing? Needing all them burners? Yeah. Some people, some people have an issue with government monitoring and all that. So you gotta do what you need to do to hide, right? Troll accounts, yeah, that might be. Oh yeah, yeah. All the hate fan email I've been getting. Maybe that's you as well. You know, asking for all those feet pictures and all that stuff. Your perv accounts. You know. You end up being the one who signs me up to all the different newsletters. You know. Sort of like the Latter-day Saints Church and all that. This is the situation where you feel like voicing the fact that we actually made it, and at the same time you're cautious of saying it because it's not completed yet. You don't want to jinx it. Should we be excited about the fact that it's a 0% upgrade? Okay, we made it. I had my doubts at some point, but we made it. Success. The Shammy is progressing, yeah. It is, slowly but surely. It's you can say that it sort of mentally it really picked up from level 25ish. I got into a good vibe and been pushing since then. And then come level 28, we got to 1,000 needles. I all of a sudden, I think I've spent more time dead than alive in 1,000 needles since I got here. And so yesterday when I logged off after having faced defeat by those harpies on end, I was struggling a little bit mentally with wanting to pick it back up. Now at least we have to conclude on the fact that we lost out to the harpies. The harpies won. Harpies 1, Shammy 0. But then managing at least to succeed on beating the wyverns, puts me mentally back on a 1-for-1. So classic WoW April Fools official announcement phase 9 with picture of the flex tape guy slapping tape. on leaking water cylinder SOD. There's actually I've seen a lot of April Fools this year from the various Danish companies as well, which have all been very entertaining. A lot of very good ones in their midst. Oh, God. I don't care to deal with your... What are you doing, you idiot? Desert Wing. I guess I'm helping him indirectly just by kiting that one guy. But, all right. Guess you should be helpful, right? One local newspaper here made an article on April 1st that they'll get water buffaloes to clean up overgrown lakes. People thought it was an April Fool's. Had to release an article on April 2nd to say it wasn't. Yeah, again, you really should be paying attention to not releasing things on April 1st, right? Because you should be mindful of the fact that you're gonna find yourself in a situation where people will always be unsure of whether or not it was an April's Fool. So isn't it? It's better to steer clear of April 1st, right? It just is. Hypercapacitor. What was it? These 5 minute buff timer on this weapon damage is just so short. Goes by so quickly. I think the only thing I'm absolutely certain of that is completely on point in terms of gameplay is the frequency of is my jumping. My jumping, the amount of jumping I'm doing is still completely on point where it should be. You know, number of jumps per level is still there. Let's check. We must have it somewhere. Items, kills, miscellaneous, jumps, 1,672. Yeah. Yes. So we're averaging more than 50 a level, right? That's as it should be. I see the big guns are here. /flex. There was a kind soul who offered his help. Logan is on his way. I mean, you know, who would not want the Wolverine to help you out in a tight spot, that's for sure. Bloodlust. Oh yeah, no, we don't have it yet. If you need some more help, I'm open. Yeah, thanks. I'll keep that in mind. I think we're good, but you know. It's a tough kitty. But having a pure tank even is big impact. This is how I should be leveling, right? Just have like a personalized tank. It's fun because there was a I played Star Wars: The Old Republic, the newer MMORPG as well, for a lot of years. And one of the things that they had was everybody had a companion. Was just about to forget to say thank you. Everybody had a companion, right? And originally you had different companions who could fulfill different roles. So one companion you got early would typically be something that would support your primary spec. So you got a tank or whatever. And they changed it now so that each companion you can basically designate whatever role you need them to fill. So if you want them to take on the role of if you want them to take on the role of healer, you can assign that, and they are predominantly healer or whatever. So that's cool. It gets a lot of functionality, at least in the sense of stamina, spirit. Stamina, yeah, good question. I'm not sure my regen for spirit is enough to really weigh it out. So, but yeah, you can say, of course, the game came out much later, so maybe they took a lot of learning from things like WoW to say, okay, can we do something that can have a positive impact on people's ability to solo things? Might be. Anywho, so 29. Okay, so effectively now maybe we are actually in a position where RFK opens up. Yeah, it does. To think that we actually have a group here where there's already a tank and a healer present. I mean, you've seen it here first, people. This is not common. They must be, I was about to say, they must be a pre-made, their own pre-made. Okay, before I go in here, I can hear that the tumbler is done drying something because it's been beeping like a madman in the back here for, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm gonna go turn that off. I think I'm gonna go stock up on coffee real quick before we enter here to do the next part. So give me a minute and a half and I will be right back. Here we go. We made it. Made it. Turned off. Everything beeping, as far as I know. Got the coffee. I figured I might as well ask these guys. Oh, maybe I can just make it. Oh, okay. The struggle is real. Going back to the hoping the server continues to wrath. I guess we'll have some idea later this year. Last year's roadmap didn't have SOD phase 8. There's been some data mine stuff for Mount Higel. Yeah. I mean, again, it's... time will tell. And it's not a... there's so much to do for now, that I don't, it's not a big deal as such. If it comes out, it comes out. If it doesn't, we know TBC is coming, that's for sure. And so it might also be, of course, that it has something to say as to what's the number of people playing as we get further down the line. Could be a thing. But otherwise, I mean, we get TBC. Worst case, I see several possibilities. One is that it starts fresh, vanilla again. The other is that, if people are into it, you can say, if you have a tight knit group of people who still find it funny, to play together, you can always look for, I was gonna say, you can always look for a private server that accommodates your needs or whatever. But there's a lot of opportunity. It might also be that a fresh server comes out. So depending on time, want, need, all that, I'm sure you can find a solution. That's not a thing. So yeah. Like if we get SOD phase 9, I think it means they're still cooking and testing. Yeah. I've not done SOD ever. I've had to conclude at some point that I think it has some interesting things to it, but I also have to look inward and conclude that I like things the way they were. The whole concept of something that's different. I'm not super big on it. I'm not super good at it. I know this game. This is what I know. I know where things are. I know what they do. And then Blizzard trying to change things up for the greater good of the population. To think that I actually can complain about it, but no, it's not a complaint. I just have had to conclude that it's not really my thing. I'm not good at it. It might be we don't get Wrath. Fresh stops at TBC and Classic stops at Mob. Sub stops on, then we get Classic Plus. Yeah. Or we get Wrath. Classic gets WOD. Yeah. Good question, But I'm not against the opportunity for something new. You can say Classic Plus would be new for everybody, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it leaves everybody on equal terms, right? And that could maybe be okay, but let's see. I think it's one of those situations where it's something I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't give it any thought until more information was available and then take it from there. Classic Plus, I mean, Classic Plus is not defined per se. They've been talking about it. Yeah, they've been talking about trying to wrap up on loose ends, take some of all the things that they've learned from all the iterations so far and trying to improve on all of it, right? So it's basically like the fully modified version. Yeah, SOD is a testing ground. Yeah, so they're really trying to say, we are considering We're considering a classic 2.0, or maybe it's 3.0. I don't even know what version we would call it, but a complete iteration where they basically take everything that has worked so far, everything that has not, and then create something that is, the best possible version of itself. You gotta hand it to them that despite the fact that the game has been going for 20 plus years and has seen a significant rise and fall in numbers of subscriptions, they at least they keep trying, right? At least they're still trying to create a product that keeps people engaged and keeps people here. And there's something about it, There's something about it at least that has merit, because otherwise people still wouldn't be here still, right? I mean, how many other games do you still dust off that are 20 years old and play? Not a lot. I mean, I think the only one I could possibly point to would be Diablo, speaking for myself. So Richard Burns Rally, I do not even know that one. EverQuest, still thriving after 26 years. Yeah. Yeah, but it goes to show you that there are a few that can still keep you engaged, right? But it's the amount of them out there is not big, I assume. Pretty Jose rally game, loads of mods. Yeah, cool. But I think that's also one of the things that a game needs if it's to survive for such an extended period of time. There has to be something to it that can incentivize change and keep you coming back, right? Because the storyline sometimes that doesn't change often, right? So it struggles more to retain you if the storyline doesn't bring anything new, I feel. Funny thing is, even if I used it, yeah. The worst part about these quests is the fact that it's easier to clear. You can do it on your own. But when you're here at the same time, it's kind of hard if you have to battle each other for the spawns. But at the same time, because both need 10, you just end up spending a lot of time here, right? Mostly because of the lockdowns back in 2020, but kind of shows how well made it was. Yeah, cool. Yeah. But there's what am I trying to get at? I'm trying to say that there aren't that many games that have, a big replay value. So being one of those still requires a lot, from you have to feel that there's something to the game that can continue to interest you, right? Another game I'd mention is Freelancer. There's still some modding going on. Yeah. I think nowadays there's not much replay value. Yeah, exactly. I think that, one of the things that I often notice is that there are a lot of new games that come out that I on paper am super excited for. The thing is that I find, I don't have the time often to really commit to a new game, because meaning that I would love to play them, but I function in a way where the more I play, the more it piques my interest, the more I want to continue. And so when I find myself in situations where I don't have a lot of time on my hands, my desire to play more goes down as well. They sort of go hand in hand. And so with new games, if you have this massive sensation of really wanting to, put in the time and the effort, but you can't due to a combination of work and family and life and whatever else, then it derails for me. I end up losing out on wanting to finish the game, and then if you all of a sudden end up parking it for a year, 2 years before you pick it up again, you kind of have to start over, right? And that's just not quite a thing. And so what I often end up doing is I have a lot of games on like my Steam wish list for later. So the other thing is I'm not always in the position where I feel like I want to spend 50, 60 euros for a game, especially if I know that I'm not going to be doing it anytime soon. So what often happens is that I put it on my wish list, and then I sort of keep tabs on it. At some point, if it sort of comes down in price, then I grab it later. Maybe I get it for half off. 30 euros all of a sudden. Then you get a game that you figure that you will want to play someday. You didn't pay too much for it. So sometimes I end up picking them up later, but it's not always the case. See here, is he missing any more? He's probably missing one more. Baldur's Gate was a nice breath of fresh air. Hope more games like that will get made. Not meaning similar breadth and scope maybe, but just good single. Yes. And honestly, I am... Baldur's Gate is still on my wish list. I know I need to play it at some point. Why did he die? I know I want to play it at some point. I haven't even gotten around to it, even though I'm such a big RP, D&D fan. So that's coming at some point. There's also playing, being the fact that in the same boat, need to play it. Yeah. What was I getting at? Being such a big D&D fan, we play the group I play with. We play Pathfinder rule set, and Pathfinder actually made one of their adventure paths into a campaign, and one of their campaigns into a computer game, which I played extensively, and that's also they released a new game later on that I also ended up buying, which I need to do at some point. So there's tons of things, and I figured that there will be a lot of things that I won't even manage to do. Roughly 2016 to end of 2024, early 2025, I didn't really play games. Yeah. So there's a ton of games, both that I would want to play. You blush if you see my stream library. Tons of games I would love to play that I haven't managed to do yet. And then there's a lot more on my wish list that I haven't gotten around to either. So, and I'm not, honestly, who knows if I'll ever get around to all of them. But sometimes there's also been various, gaming companies who've provided awesome games, or where you have maybe played. Let's say there was Company of Heroes. I played 1 and 2, really enjoyed them. I bought number 3 to support the gaming company as well. I haven't even given it a single thought yet. Who knows if I ever will, but it's been a game I've appreciated, spent a lot of time on, so being able to like support them and indicate that I actually thought they made a good product is also has some merit. So I do that sometimes as well. Alrighty, so let's see here. So I'm gonna have to try to reload this first, see if it works. The group finder UI has a tendency to bug out, I feel. Oh, let's see here. Okay, so at least now it's working. I could stand around here waiting for 3 minutes for my Hearthstone to pop off so I can continue on with the guide. Might as well do that while we wait. Let's see if what is there actually in RFK. Anything of note. Scepter, Death Speakers, Scepter. Mantle, robes, corpse mega, yeah. Significant upgrade at this point in time, right? Nearly 9 DPS more. Good slow weapon would be good. Sure. Swine tusk shank. I think the only games I played a few times in that timeline I mentioned were a little bit of Civilization. Yeah. Too much something. Yeah. Spin tires, mud runner, kinda fun. Turns your brain off. Drive big trucks through mud. Yeah. City skylines. All the time thing. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Yeah. But I think it's, for me, it's really just, it's a way to to zone out, decouple, do something else, not have to put a lot of mental effort into a game always. Hey, maybe that's sort of what shows on my gameplay. Lack of mental effort. I've also done some FPS. Again, we're back to the whole, back in the day, 20 years ago, I played Counter-Strike, was in a small clan, had some fun with it. But I haven't played since, my reflexes are not good enough for it anymore. It's not really appealing to me. But I do like single-player shooters, Far Cry series, things like that. I've played a lot of, enjoyed those. Ghost Recon, played that for a long time. Have one buddy I always play Ghost Recon Wildlands with, like a co-op, because that's, again, half the fun is doing it with somebody else. So that's also been a thing, that I can really appreciate. But yeah, it's really just about having something to do with your time. Alrighty, let's go here. So can we... Level 23. Oh yeah, that was because it was SF. Oh, I'm in the list. I'm looking in the wrong one. I'll do like this instead. I hope I was... Damn it. Let's do... I'm completely messing up here. Wow, my hands are not... Fingers are not where they should be today. Deus Ex Human Revolution was fun back in the day. Did get mankind divided as well, but looks like Steam has recorded a whopping 7 minutes of playtime. Yeah. Okay, let's try again. Whoops. Kerbal Space Program is excellent as well. Infinite replay value with mods. Okay. Yeah. I think, you know, I also... Fallout. Some of the newer Fallouts also were very enjoyable. Especially if you had like if you did some of the different modding that they had come out. Also things like XCOM actually. XCOM was also super cool with some of the mods. You know, some of the mods were kind of what saved the game. Just because, and you know, a lot of them are like smaller quality of life things, but enough so that the game becomes viable more extensively. So yeah. But I think generally the overall, I do mostly well when we talk about games in which I can come and go as I want, in the sense that if I have 30 minutes, I can do something. If I have 3 hours, I can do something. But I don't need to plan to have a minimum of X amount of hours to be able to, you know, successfully engage in something specific, right? The hard requirement of needing to plan around it is what is often like discouraging. So not being in that situation. And then I think, you know, there are a lot of these games where I've probably historically been very much like a theory crafter. I like to prepare ahead of time, read up on things, look for the optimal way of, you know, stat configuration. I'm not good at going into a game blind. I like to prepare. World of Goo, that is not something I've ever heard of. What is that? Oh, I forgot to re-queue for the... Let's see if we can... Better pick the right one this time. There we go. Guinea pig. Guinea pig. So let's see if we can find some people. You basically drag and drop balls of goo to kind of build ladders like ants climb. Goal is to reach a vacuum pipe that sucks up the balls of goo. Secondary goal is to use as few balls of goo as possible. Kind of like bridge. Okay. I'm learning new things every day. let's see here what we have in store. Flame Shock, good. Rank 3. Stoneclaw Totem, yeah, fair enough. We'll grab it all. We have a sugar daddy who provides us with money whenever we need it. So we can just... It was released in 2008, and just notice there's a notification on the Steam page that there will be a World of Goo 2 released in Q2 this year. Have to get that, I guess, yeah. Cool. So let's see here. I hate the fact that I need to double check whether the rank of the spells is updated accurately. That annoys me. Oh yeah, I still have the... to turn in the want another item. Yeah, pop it on me. Let me hear what you have, because I've been annoyed. I've recognized the fact that I knew that there must be something out there, but I haven't been looking to pursue it yet. Gear Quipper will uprank your bars. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I'm gonna queue it up immediately. At least it'll be there when I log on next then. Gear Quipper. Thank you kindly. Ancestral Cure Disease, Cure Poison, Healing Wave. Yeah, there we go. Lesser Healing. Yeah, check mana, Spring. Okay, we should be good. How are things looking for Ancestral Recall? Nice. At least we get a reduction in Hearthstoning. Grounding Totem, Healing Stream. I like the fact that it says Healing Stream Totem rank 2. Do I even have rank 1? Nope. It has a tick box for effect action slot. So when you save a cure, it will also change your action bar. Ah, okay. Yeah. Yes. That can be handy for especially for if you have like you equip your healing set and then you automatically have an update to the action bars, just so you don't have to swap things around, because sometimes it's easier to have like your healing spells readily available on the first couple of buttons when you are healing instead, just because you don't need the same rotation. Okay, so let's see here. So I'm not sure. No, not yet. No, nothing to gain from professions. Let's see here. Talk to Delgo. He is upstairs. Thank you, thank you. Where art thou? What do you have? You ain't got nothing. Bulova. 4% upgrade. Requires another level. Not really worth it. Merciless Axe is not up. Nope. Okay. Stamina Spirit. We didn't really... Stamina Spirit. Is it better? Maybe it is. Okay. Let's go. Let's go, go, go. Okay. So we are... I'll clean out my bags a little bit first, just for the hell of it. Alrighty, let's go to Camp Taurajo. Oh yeah, I should be testing out. I'm trying to test out a new in-game recruitment macro. You can say I used it so much in the beginning when we were growing, and now for the past 2 months I barely used it at all. I feel like we've had so much success with some of the different posts I made on various forums instead, that I haven't felt like I really needed it, or that we needed it, I should probably say more accurately, which is a positive, I think, because those sort of work regardless of whether you're in game or not. So I think that's super positive. But I do try to pop it once in a while. It doesn't hurt. Okay, let's go here. So, going back to the good games of the past. Humble bundle. Nice way. Yeah. We made it. They did mostly indie game bundles. Pay what you wanted. So, okay. We have to conclude that, there's so many things about games that have changed, so massively over the years as well. Again, there was the whole conversation that nowadays you pay to buy a game that is halfway done, right? Any game you buy nowadays, if you're lucky, it's 50% developed, and then you just see a massive amount of patches and DLCs in the first year to complement the fact that you bought something that's half broken. Whereas back in the day, everything had to be 100%, right? Because you were getting a shit ton of CDs. You bought it in the store, you bought it the game manual had to be done. All that stuff had to be completely on point. Looking at the page now, it looks like a publisher's bundle, and they have their tiers. Pay more, get more. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. So maybe we can gather a group. I will send a whisper to the mage. Let's see if he's game. And the hunter's already acknowledged that he's coming. He just needed a bit of time. So hopefully we put the band back together again. And I don't even have to heal. And there shouldn't be any competition for the corpse maker if I'm lucky enough that it drops. Because the hunter doesn't need it. Bad stats. And the warrior shouldn't be rolling because he's a tank. So, whoop. Like, what's this Earth Defense Force Collection? Get 24 items if you pay third tier, 18 of them or some DLC stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on, I feel. So the mage is not responding yet, so we're gonna... €226 value. Much items, very nice. Yeah, but that's still steep. Yeah. I mean, that's you know, that's a lot of money on a game, right? You can say you get a lot of value maybe, but it's also an amount of cash for a game that's, you know, requires a lot. I guess I could make my way to RFK. Okay, which is where? That's okay. Yeah, I might as well do it from here. Bundle price €24, making it look like you get loads, but it's just yeah. Okay, off we go. Meep meep. Somebody need a layer hop. Another of the current bundles is 7 items. One of them is a 15% coupon for some other game. Yeah. You know, that might... sometimes that can basically be, you know, like a good cost benefit. You can sometimes end up getting more value out of even just the coupon for something else compared to what you pay for it. So, you know, that can make sense. One second here, just trying to answer a question here on work. Okay, so mage is unresponsive. That's... I'll try him one more time. Otherwise, he'll have to... Let's see here. He left again. That was quick in, quick out. Mage is still not responding. I need 1 hour, brother. So you sign up for... Sign up looking for group. Okay. Sorry I was listed. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I was about to say, if you sign up and know you're not going to be ready for an hour, that's kind of beside the point. Work well. Okay, so let's see. So we, so the hunter should be coming, and then we just need one. I could, of course. See what we can find. One more. A random. Looking for a random. Okay, that one quick. So give it a few seconds, and then let's see where the hunter was. I'll just double check. 14 minutes. I'll ask the hunter if he's about ready. Otherwise, might as well look for another. We can't sit around waiting all day. Hunters at the other end of the world, unfortunately. Seems as if he's okay on my way as quick as I can. Okay. He's there. Everybody else is almost here. Well, we can start clearing trash. Alrighty. So, RFK it is. Three elites. Yeah, okay. We are off. Shortly off. Wonder what they're... I haven't even got a single clue as to if there's any quests or anything. Whoops, misclick. Let's try again. Blue Leaf Towers. He's inside. Okay. Not a lot of quests per se in here. So we're not missing out on much. And so we wait a little bit. those guys are where they're. Oh, my. Okay, they're both coming. This guy is. Okay, he's on his way to Hammerfall, so he can hopefully get on the flight path. So he's got a long journey ahead of him, unfortunately. And that's one of those things, you gotta hoping that at some point we get the meeting stones. Would be nice to be able to summon people. Really would. Convenience yet again. Would be nice. I guess Automod doesn't like the word twonk with an I instead of O. Okay. So I think that's a thing. Have you had any plans to roll a twonk when you've time nothing to do on Hunter, needing a break from Shaman, etc.? Yeah, because I said that, but with an I, yeah. I mean, it's I've done some twinking in the past. I mean, going all the way back to vanilla, I did twink. I did Twinks 19 with some of my real life friends. We ended up making a little twink guild. We would run around. We played Horde. We would run around, especially in Westfall, because the Alliance players were about the same level. But you were still twinked out, so they basically didn't stand a chance. But it was super fun doing like world PvP, especially because at some point on, you could see that people would get annoyed enough about us that they would start bringing in like their main characters. So all of a sudden, you actually ended up having some degree of like competition / a real challenge, which was super cool. I mean, I could see myself doing that again for the hell of it. I think the whole concept of, especially considering that WoW for me is like, I see it as a marathon, not a sprint. So knowing that you have such a long time in which the game is going to be out, and such a long time in which you can play, and not always feeling like you have something to do. I mean, again, fairly soon, even now, getting to that point where the hunter is sitting around waiting each week for the next raid, close to it, means that there's ample opportunity for it. So yeah, I could see myself doing it, and hopefully it could be a thing. So yeah, I'm not against it at all. Maybe I should even consider doing it this time around on something other than what I normally do. So historically, I've always done either a rogue or hunter. But maybe I should take one of the characters I have already in my creation list, and use that for now, so I don't need to fill up another spot with a new character that I don't really need. I only did the warlock for funsies, not big plans yet. But yeah, I mean, it might be a thing to do something, a new class that I don't normally do, just for the hell in it, and then that could be fun, like a pet project. And I mean, I would say even to a wider extent, there's two things to it I can see. Number one, I did it with Sith at one point, where we had some twinks, but the primary thing we actually did with them was like stress tests how much we could do in terms of clearing dungeons. So you basically lock a level, let's say 19 twink, and then you look to see how, if you are able to do like RFK, you know, so you're significantly under level, but your gear compensates a lot. The Warlock probably continues to 29 eventually. Depends how much Warzone Gold action there is on the yeah. But I mean that I think it's a fun. I like the projects. I like projects within the game. You know, when it just becomes, we're back to the whole, if it just becomes a chore logging in to do your raids, nothing wrong with doing raids, but you know, all the rest of the time you have available, what are you going to do with it? So having the opportunity to have like a pet project, I think is super cool. I would love that. So yeah. So I'm down. I'm down to pursue something. Projects it is. We did one of the projects I did with Sith at one point was that we did again, it was we called it Dungeon Twinks because it was specifically for dungeons. So what we basically did was we decided to try to level from level 10 to 80. This was back in Wrath on private server. So we decided to try to level from 15 to 80 by 3-manning every single dungeon. So we try to like optimize our gear for every dungeon by having like full engineering gadgets available, all these different things. That was fun. It was actually it went surprisingly well. So Paladin main tank, Shammy healer, and a mage was actually surprisingly strong. Because you had some degree of CC from the mage being able to polymorph a lot of things, and at the same time you had the paladin, which had a strong AoE tanking, and the Shammy who had such a large degree of flexibility. With Squidding Down Hunter, look good gear, Warlock testing, which morphed into level 19 Twonk with full Buccaneer look, some auction house stuff to get some attribute. Cool. Yeah, that could be fun. I mean, I'm keen to explore the option, and it might also be that it's fairly easily concluded that 19 bracket is just not worth it compared to some of the additional spells you unlock. Just even at 29, right? You have a bit more functionality, versatility. You can do a bit more. Might be a thing, but yeah, could be fun. Probably more with yeah. But I mean, the 19 bracket used to be fairly populated. I don't know how it is anymore, but it definitely was. But yeah, might be that we need to do a Unity Twink project at some point. There's definitely, you can say, even just like your classic 29 bear twink is just such an OP flag carrier all of a sudden, because you have access to your travel form, cat form, bear form, so much functionality in what you can do with it. So you just spam dots and okay, only 10 talent points, so level 19 Warlock is basically Curse of Agony, instant cast plus 15. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you get that bit more accessibility to things by 29, right? So that's definitely has an you end up just at 19 bracket, you end up having 2 buttons to push, right? If you're lucky. So it's so I'm unsure if if the tank is not sure where we're going, or he's looking for something that he hasn't really informed about. Either way, we're on a scenic tour right now, looking in every single crevice. The fact that we brought a second warrior is doesn't appear to be a big concern versus my ability to get the corpse maker, because it looks like he's dual wielding, so hopefully there's no competition. You can say again, even just talking about that. Looking to, if at some point looking to level let's say a rogue or a warrior, it might well be that the cookie cutter spec is to do like dual wield. But I think if I'm ever gonna level my warrior, I wanna do it as arms, just because I've never really done it arms, and it doesn't matter to me to be cookie cuttering. Similarly, I've been thinking about, again, this is all just hypothetical. If I do a rogue at some point, I was thinking about leveling as subtlety, just because there's it doesn't have to be that flavor all the time. It doesn't have to be the best of the best. I'd rather have fun with something that's different. What's arms? Yeah, arms is just a 2-hand. Yeah, so you go down and look for mortal strike. I'm contemplating that, just for doing something different. There's also, I'm not sure. I don't know if it works in. In classic, but there was also there used to be. I'd probably just sword and board all the time just for the hell of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's another opportunity to just consider doing like full shield bash revenge thing. But I think there's also. I know it was a thing in TBC. I don't know if it was a thing in maybe. Oh no, I know it was a thing in Wrath. I don't know if it was also a thing in TBC, but there were people leveling Priest, for example, as a Holy Smite spec, for example. Just for the just to do something differently, not to just do the same as everybody else. Have I? I'm not even sure. Did I actually have a... No, I didn't. Okay, fair enough. I wasn't sure if I'd actually... I'll put on beta sound. It should be fairly low. I'm not even sure if I've been here to this part before. I always just follow the beaten path. But damage is good, even considering the fact that the hunter hasn't even arrived yet. So that does not seem to be an issue. Which is nice, you know. Smooth. He's still yeah, but he was on the complete opposite side of the world. You know, he came all the way from Arathi, so poor guy. Let's see if he makes it here in time. But so I think, you know, let's say if we're talking about possible twonking. Hey, look, the water. Should we I mean, let's consider putting up a Discord post about it, right? So we can have recruit others to the possibility. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, okay, it was for the warrior quests. Fair enough. Made sense to do that. I think there's already a couple who were talking about it in G-chat, making a talk. Yeah, okay. We can always, yeah. I mean, I think maybe we can. What we could do is we can start off by making a channel for it. Then at least people can mute it if they don't care, and those who might be interested can keep tabs, and we can always try to figure out, like, what bracket would people prefer, and also just, like, you know, think ahead. It might be that it's not something that's on the table for any time soon, but there's also the consideration on do you use a level 60 character to help you farm the gear you need, so you don't have to queue for dungeons and do it yourself, you know, because that takes a long time. So lots of different things to consider. Alrighty. So Hunter's just about here. Yep, just about there. Timing was excellent. So RFK it is. Let's see what we can be fortunate maybe to get. Not surprising, he's using the Crescent Staff as well. He's been doing dungeons. Even Warsong Gulch already. Personally, I don't think I'll go full on Twin Crowd anytime soon with getting items from high level dungeons with help. Yeah. Again, but you know, it can be a thing down the line anyway. I also think, you know, right now most people are still primarily pursuing stuff on their mains anyway, so I don't think there's any sort of rush to it. But that doesn't mean, you know, that it might get people incentivized to start or thinking about it, and then little by little we can get somewhere with it. Okay. Time to kick ass and take names. Only favor I asked on the Warlock was to get the 5 stamina 2 int cloak from Garento quest in Stone Talon. Asked if anyone was aboard and Danny hopped on. Nice. That's cool. Let's go. Whoa, Deanship Claymore. Two-handed sword with spirit and defense. That's an odd combo, but cool. I could have gotten 5 stamina BOE cloak from auction house for 20, but that engineering cloak cost, yeah. I think it's. I feel like I catch myself on some occasions trying to figure out what is my like. How much am I willing to spend on a secondary or character in the process of leveling on a gear upgrade? You know, like if something is on the auction house for 50 silver, maybe a gold, I'm inclined to buy it and not worry too much about it. But on the other hand, I sort of have noticed that, let's say you find something that's 5 gold. I really don't even want to spend 5 gold on something that's such a temporary upgrade, for example. So trying to figure out that that balance of when is an amount acceptable, right? Again, you can say maybe if it's for like a main hand weapon, which is so impactful, it makes sense to maybe, you know, consider a bit more. Yeah. But other than that, I think for the most part, it's like, okay, I wouldn't do it. But a delicate balance, once again. I mean, it's sort of like a these characters need to earn their own stuff anyway. You know, there's no freebies here. Just because you're an alt mine doesn't mean you just get things handed to you per se. Gotta work for that shit. See if I can grab a little bit of mana just for the... For now, Hunter finances stuff, but the other proper characters will make their own. Yeah, exactly. You can very quickly end up funneling a lot of money to the other characters. I mean, and of course, if you either feel like you have enough or you know you can spare it, then fair enough. I just think it very quickly becomes like a spiral that just goes completely out of control, where you just end up shelling out so much. Can't really be. I'm too cheap for that, probably. See if we can do, you know. So the one time I prepare to interrupt the spell, basically nothing more happens. Typical. So the staff is the one thing I splurged on, and another thing will be 24 slot soul bag once I... Yeah, I can follow that. Yeah, again, but that's also the staff. Fair enough. The staff might be such a significant upgrade slash, you know, investment in terms of longevity that it makes sense. And, you know, and it's readily available. You don't have to, you know, don't have to continue to farm a dungeon to find it. And the soul bag even more so is an investment, you know, because that will last you. That will last you for until 60 anyway, or could at least. So that makes sense. It's more a case of if you go out and shell out 10 gold for some random belt, green belt or something, maybe a blue belt if you're lucky, that will last you a few levels, you know. It's not... Ooh, wow, that was impressive. No, sorry, I clicked I will Well, they all... Few people greeted. Yeah. Probably should just have greeted on it when it's a BOE. Razorfen Beast Trainer. Would not have considered getting match for the 24, but I noticed I had 2 Dark Runes already on Bank Alt. Total, okay, 60 gold total craft cost, which is insane. Yeah. Or yeah, even just so the some of the material cost is Dark Runes as well. That's also insane. But of course, the 24 slot is a big thing. So move him out of the red stuff. We don't do that. Dark Rune is like a gold thing. Okay. Yeah. Since you had them anyway. Yeah. You can say you're a good part of the way there already. So it will last until TPC. Yeah. I actually just remembered. I completely forgot to put the last point. Guess we should be dropping this guy. That was a biggie. All of a sudden the mana is just gone. Oh yeah, I forgot that. I need to go hand in finish the totem quest as well, so I can actually get the water totem. Now it's starting to show that it might be viable to have it, because you can effectively use the mana spring totem at least, so. Starts to have a bit more purpose. I'll just say reason I wanted one is to have biggest bag in bank to hold soul shards. So I'll make a buffer shards, hence yeah. Fair enough. So you can actually I haven't even thought about it. It doesn't make sense, but you can actually have the bag in for your bank as well. It's not exclusive only for carrying on yourself. So you could basically just fill up, have like, what is it? How many bags is it we have in the bank? Is it 6 or 7? So just have 7 24 slot soul shard bags in the bank. If you really wanted that. If you really fancied having 6, yeah. dominate mine. That's nasty. Wow, what is going on with my mouse right now? Small upgrade. Don't see a reason they wouldn't be able to be in back. Didn't think of that other. Yeah, you can put socials. Yeah, yes. Yeah, it was more a case of, you know, interesting whether or not you would actually be able to use it in the bank slot. But it wouldn't make sense that you can, because it's just a container, so it shouldn't be a thing. I have never tried it, but yeah, we'll figure out. Yeah, you can say you're gonna craft it either way, and so you just go over and try to put it in the bank first, see if it works out. Otherwise, you know that you're gonna be keeping it on your person anyway, maybe, or we'll end up having to. Oh, I've definitely been falling a bit behind on my workouts this past bit more than a month, in terms of with everything happening with the preparing for the move and everything. So my my physical shape right now is, I can feel it lacking in some regards. But yesterday I was out of the new house. We just got a preliminary delivery of like wooden pellets, which is like the new heating source for the new place. It's like a pellet stove, and the problem was that they brought it in like a big ass truck that couldn't get close enough to the house to drop it off in the. Basically, the way the house is laid out is there's a garage, which is like a one part of the house where you could effectively get the pellets inside and then move them closer to the stove by means of a pallet, like a forklift, not the automated one, but like the manual one. And the problem was the truck couldn't get close enough to be of any use, so I had to a pallet jack. Yes, exactly. Thank you. So I had to take all the pellets and move them from one pallet to another. So I moved it from a pallet outside the building onto a empty pallet inside the building, from where I could then, you know, position them where I needed them later. So I ended up moving 2 tons yesterday of bags. I can feel it in a few places because it was all of a sudden, you know, physical exertion going beyond what I've been doing otherwise. So I can feel it some places in my back. Not in a bad way, just the fact that I've been doing my exercise. Nice. Sweetness. Coolio. Now we just gotta get that weapon skill up. It's gonna take the rest of this dungeon. Miss. 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 Parry. Miss. Miss. Well, the only thing we really wanted, at least we got that. That's awesome. No, it wasn't a large distance. I mean, effectively, it was, let's say, 1.5. Well, moving them from the outdoor pallet to the indoor pallet was maybe a distance of like 2 meters. And then the distance that I rolled it inside the house afterwards was another, like, let's say 5 meters, a bit down the hallway and around a corner. So it was still more effective, in my opinion, to move them as short a distance from one pallet to the other as possible, and then roll it after that. But yeah, I'll have to see if I can come up with a better solution for future deliveries, so I can avoid the unnecessary like physical task, just because it's ineffective. Hindsight is 2020. Yeah, could be. The thing was that that might be a thought I can pursue as well. The thing is the layout, the outside right now, it's like gravel. So I was and I hadn't prepared ahead of time. We didn't quite know where we were gonna, how close to the house that the delivery guy could get. So I hadn't been able to, plan for putting something down like plywood. But because it's gravel outside, I couldn't really use the pallet jack there for sure. And you can say the pallet, which weighs about a ton, I was barely able to pull it across the somewhat uneven floor inside the house, so I wouldn't have been able to move it at all outside. So you can say if I can manage to put down enough plywood outside that I could have rolled across it might have been possible, but we'll see. Yeah, even plywood you need to have a buddy. Yeah. That's why I have a wife. But I've been thinking all kinds of different things. Also, I was trying to think of, okay, could you effectively look to create some sort of like a transportation ban so that you can effectively, load them onto some sort of a conveyor belt thing. Might be going a bit overboard in terms of solution orientation, because we are, let's say, realistically within a number of years, I think we would be looking to pursue the possibility of getting an alternative heating solution to what the pellet stove is. It would make sense to look into getting like a earth heat system instead, but fairly expensive. So it's not something that we have the budget for right now. But yeah, so it's also it doesn't make sense to create some sophisticated, complicated solution if it's only viable for the next 2 years, something like that. So yeah, I'll have to think about options and figure out what makes sense. But yeah. All these different casters. All of a sudden they're not casting. Now I'm all of a sudden holding my resisted. The love is real. Do you know what a come along is? I'll try to look up Danish translation for that. Right off the top of my head, it's not a term I'm familiar with, but I can always look it up myself. I mean, '66 weapon skill. So, okay, is there, let's see here, is there by chance anything else that we could actually get from? Oh, there's the blind hunter, but he doesn't really have anything that's Huntsbill. Oh yeah, yes. Yes, yeah. I can follow. Yeah, you can definitely. There could definitely be like a, it's like a winch, so you have like a wire winch somewhere. No, okay. So I actually had my prepared for him to cast, and then I clicked the wrong button. Yeah, I'll have to figure out what I do. Not like the spinning crank, one other thing that truck drivers use, but the version that has a longer handle. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'll see. But it might, it might be that it can could it be useful. Was it a totem pole? You can pull some create tension, yeah. Crazy tension, yeah. Yes, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of momentum to them, right? That really can do quite a lot with very little effort. I mean, from your side. It really just is about having a big lever. Yeah. But yeah, the thing is, yeah, there's a lot of, some of these are really like just practical considerations, but I figure also that there's a lot to the new home that really requires a reassessment of how you do things, because in broad terms everything is of a bigger scale. Even just there's so few situations in which you will be utilizing a wheelbarrow going forward, because you always need to haul something of a significant volume compared to what you were used to when you had a small garden. So you have to get used to also the mindset of pulling up the ATV with the trailer attached, dumping on if you're moving dirt or soil or whatever, you throw it into the back of the trailer. You don't drive a wheelbarrow back and forth, because the distance you have to cover even is just going to be 5-10 times what you're used to. So it's ineffective. So the whole mindset of trying to get around how do you do things differently is part of the process right now of how do you always prepare yourself for doing something on a scale. I think big enough lever and a swivel point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's definitely a thing. But part of the process, mental process as well. Just finding a way to solve these things and all that is also just, I like it. I like having to reassess and evaluate and improve it. Figuring out how to do things Smarter, not harder. How's the weapon skill coming? 103. We're getting there. So at least we're starting to make a dent sometimes. No, not yet actually. Not yet. Too soon. Still not hitting anything. But it probably holds true that maybe we are around cap when we get to the end boss, if we're lucky. So we actually can contribute. If nothing else, then at least we have managed to utilize the group to level our weapon skill. Good thing I'm contributing on the other terms. Not just a pretty face, but also a totem. See, there's a caster somewhere. You're an experienced guy, but I'll just say be mindful if you use that kind of come along winch, similar to using a regular one. Rope snaps or gets. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I know it's. I mean, it's super relevant. At least I think it's really important to be aware of it. You know. Also, just let's say in terms of if for some reason you have the kids somewhere in in and around yourself, if you do it, you want to be absolutely certain that there's nothing. We were not. There was one of the rooms in the house where there was like they had built this small like bookcase thing, and there was we took it apart primarily just by hitting some of the sides with a big ass hammer, and my wife at some point wanted to go at it, so she took some swings, and the first thing I did was basically just tell my daughter that there was a distinct difference between standing on one side of her mom and the other, let's say focusing on the path with which she swings. So it's like you're gonna want to be behind the hand in which she has the hammer, because she's gonna be swinging away from you then instead of towards you. So there was like a lot of things just to keep track of for the purposes of making sure that there's no like collateral damage. And I think the same applies. We with the new ATV, we sort of talked about it, and also I said, I think it's important to start off by stressing that the ATV is not a toy, in the sense that if you're 9 years old, it's super fun to try, and ride around. But it's meant as a work tool, predominantly. Nothing wrong with driving around on it, but it's not a toy. It's a big heavy piece of machinery, And if you're not mindful, and you go too quickly, especially when you've never tried it before, and that thing flips over, you're gonna break a leg if you're lucky. Only break a leg if you're lucky. Otherwise, it's gonna be something worse, So I think it was also important to try to address the fact that there are some things to be four-wheel ATV, that kind that you ride on top of. Yeah, no cap. Yes, exactly. Yes. I believe the ones that have the hard top, where you basically sit in an actual seat, is they have another letter reference, right? That's not called an ATV normally, is it? Can't remember. But the ATV is the one where you sit spread legged across the top. Yeah, that one. UTV, yeah, exactly. Utility one. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. So, but ours is an ATV. Yeah. So even that was just like trying to tell them, you know, that we have it, we can use it. You're gonna all get more than enough opportunities to ride around on it, but it's not meant for show and games. You know, it's a heavy piece of machinery. It's a serious piece of machinery. It's got a fair amount of let's say power compared to if you've tried something, you know, at the local fair or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and especially that was one of the things they all took. They all got to try it out the other day. I was sitting, you know, behind them, and they were sort of in charge. And I said, first thing we work on is the fact that you never accelerate when you're turning. You know, that's the first and most straightforward way in which you're gonna end up getting yourself tossed if you're lucky and flipping over if you're unlucky. So that's the thing as well. So that, you know, there's everybody has a lot of aspects in which there's some learning to do, you know, just because it's new, unfamiliar for all of us. You know, there used to be trike ATVs. That was a great idea by Hunter. Yeah, okay. The ATC, okay. I don't think I've ever seen one, but yeah. Single front, yeah, it makes sense, yeah. But flips over, yeah. There's easily a situation, I figure, in which that, you know, the like the pivotal point is fairly small, right? The silence is tough. Being silenced all the damn time. Oh, I see the first pre-made in chat coming out. Looking for more rank 11 for AB pre-made. There we go. Pre-mades are a thing now. The PvP is real. Go. Some big hits coming in sometimes. You can really see once the warriors get within execute range. Damage they just drop. Guess I should probably be stalking this guy actually for there we go. Slowly creeping up on a level, that's nice. This thing is so slow that I can basically manage to sidestep loot and get back in time for my next swing. That's says a lot about speed or lack of such. Okay, so I didn't quite make it to the level cap, weapon skill cap. Let's see if it's enough. Resisted. Resisted. Okay, I'm not succeeding on any of my interrupts at the moment. Of course, he is also 33. And then when I finally manage to time it right, he's immune. What does that mean? Oh, he's just immune to the nature damage. Die already! Jesus, here's a toughie. Probably, hey, maybe the warrior's gonna be happy. He was looking for one-handed axes. He was lucky. Okay, so... then the escort quest. That can probably fits okay with me being able to finish the escort thing, and then I can... We'll probably have to jump off and continue on with my day. A couple things to do. Things to do, places to go. Unfortunately. LOSing didn't quite work. Resisted. That was chaotic. At least some of my interrupts are going off. That's nice. Rolling for the chest, I did not. I will not be winning with a roll of 13, that's for sure. What was the... take the small scroll to very math thrusts. Who won? Tank one. There we go. Escort quest. It's been a good group. Straightforward, easy going. Smooth. Come on. Alrighty. We might be, seems like we will be in the situation where we're pretty much through leveling weapon skill by the time we get out. If we try to find something positive. Somebody did not like my totem. Maybe I can get some quick mana. See, that's a hit we're talking about. White hit 300. Now we're getting places. Oh, at least I feel like I'm actually denting something once in a while. Also, actually, yeah, through the next talent. Time for next tier talents. I'm actually forgetting, especially salutations. Hey man, how are you? You're a tall one. Even sitting down, or? I am fairly tall. Time to man up. How short are you? I am 192 centimeters. Unless my spine has decompressed further, then maybe I'm a bit mid short, taller in the mornings. Okay, yeah, so then I am short. Yeah, 207. I have actually my two best friends from high school were both taller than me, which was, you know, I'm still above average, so that in itself was kind of weird. And so like walking down the street and I was the short one always was something that would draw people's attention, just like, what the hell is going on there? Just like the circus came into town. So you've got 3 people who you know, in total are like 6 meters tall, averaging 200. Yeah, That was always kind of fun. And of course, the guy who was tallest, he was probably only 205. Of course, he's the one who found the shortest girlfriend he possibly could. Like, she was just over 1.5 meters. So he was basically bent in two just trying to kiss her. So how goes the leveling? Have you progressed any further on the warlock? That's why the tall guys sit down. Yeah. Get on my lap, just like Santa. That's a nasty curse. I think I'm still level 22 or 23. Working at the office today. Yeah, fair enough. I figured I can manage to get through this dungeon here, and then I'll probably, my health is off cooldown, I can jump back to free wind post and then probably park the character there for now. I need to go do some errands, so probably the end of my journey, unfortunately, for today. Time flies when you're having fun. The beginning of a long hard weekend on some points, heading out to the new place in a couple of hours. By the way, it's interesting that average human height has changed over time. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting, on average, we're getting taller, right? If I remember correctly. It's going to be it's going to be an evolutionary process like the giraffes. We're going to have to stretch more and more to be able to reach the fruits. See how tall we need to be to find the things on the top shelf at the grocery store at some point. They're gonna put all the good things there, top shelf. So you gotta stretch. Self-employed, yeah, I remember you said that, yeah. Been using an accounting program for a while and it just keeps getting more and more expensive compared to that. Yeah. So I cancel it, yeah. I can follow that. It's always, you can say I've never been in a situation where I've had to think about that before, but now with the new property is, because it's an agricultural property, I can effectively run it through a company. So I started a small sole proprietorship to just basically funnel and channel all the income and outcome through. So I had to liaison with an accountant as well for now to help with some of all the bookkeeping. I'm also right now awaiting prices from then on, what it's going to cost in terms of accounting program and everything else, so I know whether I should consider doing it myself, because it quickly just adds up, especially if, it can very quickly be fairly expensive compared to the turnover you have. There's some 2017 study picture on Wikipedia that shows it peaked for females in the 70s, males in the 80s. That graph covers basically, I think, okay, fair enough. So where do we turn that in? Oh yeah, is it over here? Did I forget to talk to him? Is he inside? I don't remember. Was I not paying attention? Is he still inside? Yeah, it was. Good thing I noticed now. Would have been typical. Okay, agility, intellect, strength. Realistically, am I gonna be? I might be healing more for the next 10 levels ish. Looking to chase a good amount of Scarlet Monastery maybe. So I'll try to do the strategic thinking ahead. Okay. Well, success. We went in there looking for one thing and one thing only, and we got it. Good upgrade. Another graph shows 16,000 BCE to present. Decline in height until maybe 4,000. Okay. Most things are just, you know, there's so many things that will change one way or the other. Oh, given enough time. So what is all this crap I have here? Okay. I am in a rested location, so I guess I could be this. I need to hand it at some point. Which one is these intellect? Guess I could sell that one. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to call it for the day, unfortunately. Better head off. Get a quick bite to eat and then maybe head off for... get the last few things I need to grab. Regrettably so. Yeah. I'll have to... I'll look to do better. I will look to do better. But thanks for hanging out. As always, a pleasure. Really is. Super excited to not be here sitting by my lonesome. So take care. Have a great weekend if I don't talk to you before then. If nothing else, I plan on being... I'll be back again of next week for sure. Maybe depending on how things look, if we actually manage to get something going for Sunday evening, I'll see if I can't maybe jump on and stream that. But otherwise, come Monday, at least, I think I'll be back. So thanks for hanging out. As always, a pleasure. Take care. And I'll catch you. I hope the work goes well this weekend. Yeah, thank you. I'm sure it will. I mean, it's mostly a matter of what we manage to do, but we've got a lot of friends stopping by here or there, you know, for a few hours. So hopefully just the extra manpower will mean some decent progress. So yeah, that's going to be nice. Preparing for the painter to start on Monday. If nothing else, that's sort of the main thing. Keeping tabs on what is it we need to set up so that he can get to where he needs to be. So yeah. Anyways, take care. All of y'all. See you later. Bye.